Hello everyone and welcome to The Matrix Exodus, and today I'm going to talk about where I have been and why I changed my channel name. Well, I changed my channel name basically for a new start. After a pretty rough few years, I lost my sister, my older sister, and she didn't quite make it to 50, and she went through a horrendous time with cancer, which came about in 2020, I think it was. And she then had to go through the same medical interventions that were pressured on everyone, and the cancer spread everywhere on her. Then she had to go through chemotherapy, that made her worse, and eventually she died. Also in that time I moved house, so when it was lockdown I was living in a flat with my son. My court case came to an end because I was left to self-represent my own rape case because of the politically correct rape, which no lawyers would represent my argument, so I had to do it myself. I won, I set precedent, and I was awarded my compensation, which wasn't that much. And then I moved home, and I am still struggling to get into the workplace, mainly because of the whole situation whereby there's policies now that you have to go undergo kind of politically correct training, or otherwise, your companies are at risk of employing a fascist like myself. So I've been trying to find ways to deal with my trauma, deal with my upset and the devastation you feel when you're thrown out of society because society looks upon the rapist as a victim and their rape victim as the perpetrator of a new word crime. So I can't go back into the workplace. I just can't bring myself to go through all those policy nonsense of political correctness. I suppose I could fight it in a legal case, but I would do, and I am actually starting cases, self-represented again. I actually fought cases in lockdown when a certain company decided to use yellow stickers to label people who weren't going to wear a mask, and all that kind of stuff during those different mandates in that era. So I started legal action against multiple companies at that time, but it is very stressful. It really sort of conjures up all this trauma that I've been through for the sake of political correctness, for the sake of the greater good. And I'm done with all of that. I am on my exodus from the matrix at this point, so I am trying to start working outside of the mandates of political correctness and outside the mandates of societal norms, which I think are completely perverse at this point. So this channel will probably just be looking on my observations of society and also my experiences, which are very unique and different, because most people, when they think of political correctness, they think it's a wonderful thing, and they actually are dedicated to the belief that it doesn't cause harm to other people. So I've started writing instead. I don't think that it's particularly useful or handy for people like myself to just sit and moan about it. I mean, the politicians, the corporations who bring about these policies, they know that people are moaning about it. They know that people aren't happy about it. So what I'm dedicating myself towards at the moment is fighting legal battles in a self-represented manner. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I only think that changes can be made by repealing laws which exist, or using those laws against those who have written up the laws. So hate speech is anything that causes offence. So I'm actually going to be taking something, I'm going to be taking a legal action to court about hate speech, which is also discriminatory, based on the idea that political correctness is, they've created this policy on the basis that political correctness is only good and virtuous, and I'm arguing in my own legal battle, self-represented, that this is actually untrue. And that takes time. My last court case took 5 years for me to get that compensation through, and because these are complex arguments which they are not used to, where I talk about trauma and disability discrimination because they reignite trauma, then they have to go through all this sort of, they call it exceptional circumstances, so they have to get very intricate with the details, which takes ages, years. So while I'm taking these cases to court to prove that political correctness is not necessarily the virtue that they believe it is or claim it is, I'm just in this motion of trauma and stress, like elongated trauma and stress. So that's one of the things I'm doing. Also, in the meanwhile, I'm also writing. So I did my law degree and I learnt a lot about law and the hypocrisy, the contradictions, but also the other side of the argument and making the other case, which is what I'm keen to do. So I've been writing fiction, which is mainly surrounding law. It's apocalyptic, it's conspiratorial, and it's dystopian, based in sort of science fiction genre. I've never written fiction before. When I do read fiction, I do have a habit of putting the books down if there's too much sort of wispy words and detail. I'm kind of a get to the point person, so that's kind of how my books are laid out. So I try not to be too descriptive, so that it's open to everyone. Not everyone's going to take offence. Probably they will do with my first book because it's all about political correctness and a teacher who joins a group who oppose racism. That book's called The Greatest Fight. I'll have the link in the description below. You can buy it on Amazon. If you don't like Amazon, then there are other links. However, I may end up, if no one's buying from those different links, then I will end up going to exclusive rights to Amazon, because I have received people's comments saying that they will not buy on Amazon, but good luck with the book and everything. But having said that, when I give them a different option, they say no, I won't be buying it anyway. So I'll see how it goes, probably for a few months. If I don't get any sales on the alternative sites to Amazon, then I'm not sticking at it with them. I'm going to go exclusive with Amazon. I was really surprised that Amazon did actually allow that book up, because it does go through review and it is all about political correctness and their failures to acknowledge the harm it causes. And it is a tragedy and a family saga. So hopefully, and it is loosely based on my own experience as a rape victim of an illegal immigrant. So hopefully that book will start selling at some point. I've got another one coming out which is called The Harvest, and like the Greatest Fight Virtue, it's going to be a series, and they're all based on different elements of my experiences and observations, my curiosities about the world, our history, belief systems, all sorts of things. So it sort of tiptoes onto all those subjects, and that's what I've been doing. I've written the plot lines for about 40 books, and 5 of them are series. I've written up 3 books, I've released 1, and the one which is out is a novelette. So they are, I do have quick reads, I do have more short stories which are about 30,000 words, then I have novels. Hopefully you'll like those sorts of books, and you might support me. I am trying my very best to avoid the workplace in the sense of the employment. I couldn't bear to go back into employment because I just can't deal with the attitudes which brought about what happened to me. It repulses me, and that's why I called my rename my channel The Matrix Exodus, because I don't want to be in the Matrix anymore. I want to get out as far as I can. So I'll also be covering things about what I'm doing to ensure that I do make my way out of the Matrix, different techniques and elements that I'm doing, even if it's just home baking, home cooking, those sorts of things. But now that I've moved, I'm in a better sort of, not necessarily a better location, but I'm in a better situation. I've got a bigger home, and hopefully I can move from here as well. That would be my next hope, to move from here, because it is a bit of a rough area, but you know, you've got to deal with the circumstances that you are in, and that's what I'm trying to do. And I'd like to move on from here eventually. So that's where I've been. My lovely sister died. Oh, I've also come out of the NHS, and I'll explain how I've done that, because those people who have been following me will know that I had a brain tumour, and I had surgery for that probably in the same year. But yeah, it was in the same year that I was vaporated. I call it vapораtions now. That's the term I've coined for these mass rapes, vaporations. So the year that I was vaporated, I also had a brain tumour removed through surgery, and that worked for a while, but then the stress of the trauma it reignited all the seizures, and I've managed to control them naturally, through natural ways. So I, unlike my sister who went through all these medical interventions and poisons basically, because chemotherapy is explained to the patients as a poison, I managed to avoid all of that stuff and become seizure free. So I'll be talking about that kind of thing as well on my channel. Please support me. I will provide the link for the books, and I hope you enjoy them. I haven't done fiction writing before, other than in school. I am adding elements of legal arguments which I used in my own court case, but I'm hoping that other people who read my books will see that they can use those legal arguments too, because they're quite clever and they're quite useful for everybody in all sorts of different circumstances. And that's what I'm going to be exploring, the legal rights of a people in this horrible situation. And sometimes it won't be about that, it will be about how basically survival outside of this system. And that's what I'm very much focused on, because it's something that I want to do. I want to get out of the system because I think it's perverse. Right, well, I will update you again soon. Thank you for listening. Please like and share, comment, because then I can hopefully reach 1,000 subscribers, and if I can, then hopefully I can get monetized, and then that might help me in my efforts to escape this matrix. Thank you so much. Bye.